All right, so if we look at this shape, you can see that it is not just a plain rectangle or a square. That means that we can no longer just say length times width times height. However, when you look at this figure, you can see that it is made up of two rectangular prisms. So the first thing you are going to do is to break this shape apart. And when I say that, I mean that you can separate it and you can end up having two different figures. So I'm going to use my red pen to draw a line just so you can see how I am going to separate this into two different shapes. Okay, so now I have two different rectangular prisms. So if I look, I will call this one figure 1 and I will call this one figure 2. Figure 1, I have all of my measurements. I see that I have a length of 3. I have a width that is equal to 4. And then I also have a height that is equal to 4. So looking at my first box, I see to find the volume, you still do it the same way. We will do length times width times height. So 3 times 4 is equal to 12, and 12 times 4 is equal to 48. So just the volume of figure 1 is equivalent to 48 cubic centimeters. Now looking over here at this box, I see that I have a few missing measurements. What I see that I do have is that I have a height of 2, which means I do not have to find the height of this image. I do not have my length, and I do not have my width. I see that this width is the same width as this over here, which means that the width of this figure is going to be equivalent to 4 centimeters as well. Now, the only thing I have left to find is the length. I know that this total length down here is equivalent to 6 centimeters, and this little section right here is the same as this length up here. So that means that this is also 3 centimeters down here. If this total length was 6, and I've already used 3, that means that this section over here also must be equivalent to 3, because this section of 3 centimeters and this section of 3 centimeters is going to give me this total length of 6 centimeters. Now, I know that gets confusing, but if you draw this out and you sketch it, it will make a lot more sense to you. So now that I have a length, a width, and a height for my second figure, I'm going to go through and find the volume like I always do. So I know that 2 times 4 is equal to 8, and 8 times 3 is equal to 24. So now that I have figure 1 has a volume of 48, and figure 2 has a volume of 24, I am just going to add these two together. So I'm going to add 48 plus 24. 8 plus 4 we know is equal to 12. Drop your 2, carry your 1. 1 plus 4 is equal to 5, and 5 plus 2 is equal to 7, which means that my total volume of the entire irregular figure is going to be equivalent to 72 cubic centimeters. This will be your toughest part of finding volume because you'll have to fill in those missing sides. Sometimes they give you extra numbers that you do not need, and sometimes they do not give you enough numbers that you need. So the first thing you need to do when you separate your shape into two different shapes is to go ahead and go in and fill in all of your missing sides. And then once you find all of your missing sides, find the volume to each figure, and then you will add the two together, as I did over here, to find the total volume of your irregular figure.